Okay, the objective here is to be able to draw a model of your fraction, and in order to do that you need to look at the denominator to divide the model into equal pieces. So if my fraction is 5/2, I'm going to be looking first at the denominator to see how many equal pieces my model is going to show, and then I will, well, in this case it's going to be halves, so I'm going to draw a model. It could be a circular model or rectangular, it really doesn't matter. Now I'm looking at the numerator to see how many of those half pieces I need. Right here I have 1 and 2, so that means I'm going to need to draw my model more than once to accommodate my numerator. So as you see, I have 4 equal pieces. I'll need one more, but instead of just drawing the half piece, I need to draw an entire model to show that. So I have drawn a model of 5/2. Let's see, what if I had 8/4? Same concept would apply. I'm looking at my denominator to see how many pieces I need to cut my model into. So I've cut those into 4 equal pieces. Each time I draw a new model, it's going to look the same. I need to then look at my numerator to see how many of those pieces will I have. Here I only have 1, 2, 3, and 4. My numerator tells me that I need 8. So I need to draw again my model. That was step 1, draw the model of the fraction. Okay, my next step is to shade in the model to show the numerator. So as we saw, we took our pieces. I need to look directly here, and this will tell me how many of these half pieces I'm going to be shading in. So I'm doing 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And down here, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, 8/4. So I have shaded in the model according to what the numerator told me. Next step is to rename the fraction using a number sentence. So I'm going to take the model and I'm going to create a fraction number sentence. So this piece is 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2 plus 1/2. If you've noticed, these two halves create one whole. So I'm going to name that 1. These two halves put together create one whole. And then I have what's left over. In this case, this fraction, 5/2, would be 2 and 1/2. You can see that 2 holes were created when the models were shaded fully in. Down here, you'll also notice that I've got 4/4. You can take a shortcut there. 4/4 plus 4/4. Each one of these is equivalent to 1. So 1 plus 1 equals 2. So 8/4 is equivalent to 2 whole pieces. 5/2 is equivalent to 2 and 1/2 pieces. We have created what is called a mixed number that has a whole number and a fraction here combined in your answer. Here we just have a whole number by itself. If we had one more 1/4 piece, we would add on our fraction. Okay, so we're going to rename fractions, but this time we're going to go in the opposite direction. We're going to start with a mixed number and we are going to move it into a fraction larger than 1. That means your numerator is larger than your denominator. So the example we used earlier was 5/2. Your numerator is much larger than your denominator, meaning that it is going to be a fraction larger than 1. So in this case, we will use the example, let's say 1 7/10. To do this step, you're going to need to, again, step 1, look at your denominator to see how many pieces your model is going to be divided into. Also taking into account how many of these is going to be fully shaded in. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my first 10 frame. Okay, so there's a 10th. I know that I'm going to need more than one because there's a leftover bit fraction there. Okay, so same process as last time. Step 1 is to shade in your fraction. So I know that I'm shading in one whole of these, so all of these are going to be shaded to reflect that whole number that we see over there, right there. Then the leftover 7/10, I just need to shade in 7 of these pieces. So this represents 7/10. Alright, so next step after that is I need to create my number sentences for this. I already know that this is 10 pieces shaded out of 10, so there's my number sentence. 10 tenths plus 2, 3, 7/10. And then we rename the fraction by adding these together. 10 and 7 make 17, and my denominator is going to stay the same. My models have stayed the same. The denominator will not change. So in this case, I have 17/10 pieces filled in to make a fraction larger than 1. I know that the fraction is larger than 1 because my numerator is much larger than my denominator. 1/8 this time. If we're taking a look at the denominator first, to get all of the models set up, the first thing is we need to draw a model. So there's my first 8. I know that I'm looking at my whole, and there's 4 of these, so I'm going to need to draw 4 of these models to represent my whole number. So there's my 4, and then I'm going to use this as my 1/8 that's left over. Next step is to shade the models in. So I know this whole entire section is going to be shaded. That's 1 whole, 2 wholes, 3, and 4. So that takes care of my whole pieces, and I just have 1/8 left. I'm going to create my number sentence. So I know that this is going to be 8 out of 8, so I'm just rewriting 8/8 plus 8/8 plus 8/8 plus 8/8. Each one of these is representing a whole, which gives me the 4. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4, plus the 1/8 I have left over. Now, so as you can see, we have again created a fraction larger than 1. Our numerator is larger than our denominator, and that makes it a fraction larger than 1.